Tell on the line, please. No. Just put it through, Hackey. I'll handle it. Thank you very much. Great man. Herbert Hoover, in my opinion, honestly, he did a great job after World War I. Feeding all those poor, unfortunate, starving peoples over there in Europe and in Asia, and then we rewarded him with this job. Then the Depression hit, and we all turned on Herbert Hoover, but the Depression was not created by Herbert Hoover, it was created for him. Oh, heavens, and most of us forget that he instituted the Reconstruction Finance Corporation. That was to keep the small businessman going when the big banks turned their backs on him, and of course the banks did. Boy, there's a bunch of crooks for you. Well, they're happy to lend you money when you prove you don't need it. You want a friend in this life, get a dog. Hello? Shoreham Hotel? Yes. Would you connect me with Mr. Herbert Hoover, please? Harry Truman. Harry Truman. That's 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. That's the one, yes. Well, nice chatting with you, too. All right. Mr. President, Harry Truman. How are you, sir? Well, it's wonderful. All right, Mr. Hoover. This is the president. Better? All right, sir. Well, it's very nice to have you in town, and I thought I might come up and see you this afternoon. Well, you feel you should come down here? All right, sir. May I send a car for you? Well, you better will. Right away? Absolutely. Be there in 10 minutes. Not at all. No. I'm looking forward to seeing you. All right, sir. Bye-bye. Hackey, would you send a car to the Shoreham Hotel to pick up Mr. Herbert Hoover, please? Oh, and Hackey, let me know the minute he arrives. All right, fine. Thank you, Hackey. Bye-bye. There's one nice thing about this job I've got, that when you get it, you move into a rather comfortable, well-furnished house. It wasn't always that way, though. In 1800, when John Adams and his Abigail moved in here, it was nothing but a great big unfinished barn. It had no heat, no furniture. Abigail hung her wash in the East Room. Thomas Jefferson was the first president to try to complete the White House and furnish it adequately. He did a very good job. He built the north and south porticos and those elegant terraces out there. Now, those terraces were built in Jefferson's day to hide the hen houses. They tell me the best-looking, best-dressed, and highest-living fellow that ever occupied this office was Chester Arthur. They say that he even looked like a president. And he kept a whore on the premises. Now, back home, we'd call a fella like that a widower with means. Since I've occupied this office, I rather hoped I might run into the ghost of Abraham Lincoln. I never have. Teddy Roosevelt, though, said he used to talk to the famous man all the time, but I'm sure being a Republican helped. Yeah. Oh, yes, put him through. Hello, Eddie. How the hell are you? Oh, really? Oh, yeah, well, Herbert Hoover's staying there, too. That's right. Yeah, when are you coming over to see me, Eddie? No, wait a minute, you bald-headed son of a bitch. Don't get started on that Israel thing, Eddie, or I won't let you in the front door. No, wait a minute. No. Well, I told you I'd get to it when I could. Eddie, wait a minute. Now, look, don't start to crying, Eddie. Every time you get on that Israel thing, you start to crying. Now, don't do it. Well, Eddie, I can't do things in this job as fast as you think I should. Wait a minute, Eddie. I've got a lot of other customers to think about here. Well, now, Eddie, wait. No, Eddie. I cannot invite Chaim Weizmann down to the White House, and you know that. Well, Israel's not a state yet, Eddie. No, wait a minute. Eddie, look here. I've got to do things in this job by protocol. Well, that means flags and dinners and invitations and... Well, what flag could the Waldorf Astoria be flying for Weizmann? Well, heavens alive. Well, I'll check with the State Department. Now, look here. Eddie, get over here. Can you get over here in about an hour? All right, fine. But, Eddie, don't get into that Middle East thing and don't start to crying, or I swear to God, I'll have you thrown out. All right, fine. I look forward to seeing you. Bye-bye. Say, Rose, would you have General Vaughn check with the State Department, see what we have to do to get Chaim Weizmann invited down here? And, Rose, listen, find out what flag the Waldorf Astoria in New York is flying for Weizmann, and we'll fly the same damn thing. And, Rose, tell General Vaughn if the State Department kicks up a fuss because Weizmann isn't a head of state or anything, just to forget about it. We'll sneak him in the East Gate and keep it to ourselves. You know that call I just got just now was from Eddie Jacobson, one of my oldest friends on the face of this earth. He and I went bust in business many, many years ago back in Kansas City. But that man Jacobson is what I believe this country really is all about. He is always looking to do something for somebody else, even though Eddie might need the help more than they do. I really always believe there's enough for every living soul in this country. If the vested few would just get it out of their skulls, that all benefits ought to filter downward. I really believe one of our biggest problems in this country is that financial control is in the hands of too few. Now, I've been saying that for a number of years. I suppose the first time I might have said it publicly, at any rate, was on the floor of the United States Senate in 1937. Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'll only be a moment this morning. If I might take a few minutes of your time, I'd like to discuss the cause that I believe for the unrest, the financial difficulties, the unemployment, and so on in our country today. And I believe that that chief cause is that we worship money instead of honor. A billionaire in this country is much greater in the eyes of the people than the public servant who works for the public interest. And it seems to make no difference if that billionaire rode to his wealth on the sweat of little children and the blood of underpaid labor. No, I am not yielding to the senator at this time, Mr. President. In fact, I would like to remind the senator, the Carnegie libraries are steeped in the blood of the Homestead Steelworkers, for heaven's sakes. No, I'm not yielding at this time, Mr. President. In fact, I'd like to, in my opinion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator, we in this country worship mammon. Take Wall Street, for heaven's sakes. Now, you take Wall Street with its ability to control the very lifeblood of this country financially and to employ the best law brains in this country. Wall Street has yet to produce one financial statesman, and by that I mean a man who is able to recognize the danger of this bigness of business and this concentration of wealth and is willing to do something about it. Instead, Wall Street still employs the best law brains in this country to serve greed and selfish interest. And I tell you, there's going to be a settlement one day, because there's going to be one unnecessary depression too many. There's going to be one receivership too many. And the people are going to demand a settlement because they can stand just so much. In my opinion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, we are building in this country a Tower of Babel. I yield the floor to the senator. Yes, Rose. Oh, Herbert Hoover's here. Fine, be right there. Mr. President, how are you, sir? Well, for heaven's sake, you look just great. Well, thank you. I'm going to make it one way or the other. All right, sir. Well, thank you so much for coming down, Mr. President. Please have a chair. I'm sorry about that Mr. President stuff. No, I apologize. You know, Mr. Hoover, it's the same way with General Marshall. I could call General Marshall George, but for some reason, he's oldest general to me, and I don't know why that is. I'll try. Mr. Hoover? All right, fine, sir. Please sit down. Well, you look just grand. You know, I wanted to talk with you this morning about something, sir, that I think you know more about than any man on this earth. And that's the subject of human hunger. Now, we've got a surplus of food in this country, Mr. Hoover, and I would like to try to get it to the right places, mind you, in Europe and in Asia, where it'll help with the starvation business. Now, you did a great job after World War I, feeding all those poor, unfortunate, starving people over there, and I wondered, sir, if you would consider undertaking such a task for us again at this time. What is it, sir? Mr. Hoover, is anything I said, sir? Oh, no, listen, heavens alive, I guess ex-president's got a right to a little emotion just like anybody else, for heaven's sake. You'll do it. Well, when could you start, sir? Tomorrow morning. Well, that's just grand, Mr. Hoover. That suits me right down to the... You know, Mr. Hoover, I got to tell you something. The kind of help you can give us on this thing simply cannot be found just anywhere, and I'm most grateful to you, sir, and I'll send a car for you if I might. You bet I will. 9 o'clock at the showroom. It'll be there absolutely on the dot. All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Bye-bye, sir. Oh, Mr. Hoover, you're welcome, of course, to stay here in the White House. Well, you prefer the hotel. I understand that. Oh, say, speaking of hotels, you must know the folks that run the Waldorf Astoria in New York rather well, don't you? Well, living there and all, I figured you might. I may need your help in getting one of their flags. Well, that's right. If my striped pants boys can't handle it, I may be calling on you. All right, sir, fine. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock sharp. Absolutely. Bye-bye. Now, there goes one reason that I believe Congress should enact legislation designating ex-presidents honorary members of Congress. They'd have every right that every legislator has except the right to vote, but that way we'd get the benefit of their wisdom and their judgment in matters that beset